The Man Whore Podcast is sponsored by HotMovies.com. Try out some ethical, paid-for porn for free with none of those hidden fees or secret subscriptions when you sign up at HotMovies.com and use the promo code MANWHORE. Now let's get to the show.
Welcome to the Man Whore Podcast.
What's up, all you harlots and whores, Jezebels and jizmoppers? This is Billy Procida, and you are listening to the Man Whore Podcast. This week on the show, we've got Jennifer Wright. She's a historian and an author, and she has a new book out called We Came First, which is relationship advice from women of history. Oh, I'm so excited that we're going to get to nerd out on this episode. I love old shit. I love reading and talking about and theorizing about old shit and who was really sexy underneath all those fucking clothes. No show dates, people. No show dates to announce right now. I do want to say a little bit about where I've been. I have been on a few podcasts that you may want to check out. I made like my umpteenth appearance on the Hot Mess Comedy Hour recently, so you may want to go check that out. And then I was also torn apart last week on Keith and the Girl, episode 3188. Yes, they have over 3,000 episodes. But also this was probably my best Keith and the Girl appearance ever, so I highly recommend, and it's very sexual. And then I also talked more about my girlfriend on a podcast called To Date Minimum, which is co-hosted by, actually our guest next week, comedian Madeline Smith. So those are some shows to check out. I'll link to them in the show notes. By the way, I got some really cool feedback about the Dominic Quartuccio episode a couple weeks back. These are a couple comments from the Champagne Room, my secret Facebook group for Patreon members. And I'm really glad that this was well received because, you know, I already said it on the show. I'm skeptical of dudes who look as good as he does, who sell positive manhood messages, you know? And it seems that the type of men who would listen to my show, the fellow sensitive souls out there, feel similarly. One of my patrons wrote, interesting story. I can tell that he's a tad fresh off the dude bro mentality, but changing in an earnest way. It's refreshing to hear him, though. Like Billy, I also have a big bias and distrust of hetero men since they've also been shitty to me most of my life. It's always great to hear that I'm not alone in that and in my desire to question society's versions of masculinity. Thank you for that, dude. I'm not naming names because it's a secret Facebook group. But another patron, a male-identified person, he wrote, I'm always a little skeptical of dudes who guest on the podcast. But this guy was pretty good. I like how he took you through his own personal journey instead of just shouting out stuff people should do because he's got all the answers like some people would. And I agree, man. Yeah, it's that's cool because it's definitely a cottage industry. This like how to be a better man thing in whatever shape it takes, whether it's the pickup artist dudes or the guys who are trying to sell inner work or the Tony Robbins, whatever it is. But if you're not willing to like intimately open up and share how you have felt as a man, trying to be what society thinks is a man, I'm skeptical of you. Because if you truly are selling being an evolved man and inner work and all that stuff, you got to be able to also show it and demonstrate it. And I think Dominic did that by sharing his story and his battles with sex addiction and purposefulness. Is that the word? Purposefulness? Yeah, cool episode, everybody. If you haven't checked it out, 2 weeks ago, episode, what are we on? 291, Dominic Quartuccio. Great one. Before we get to this week's guest, Jennifer Wright, I want to talk with you briefly about Patreon. Specifically, my exclusive group chat of tight-knit fan whores, The Peep Show. The Peep Show is this super cool community of whoreheads whose sole function is to exchange nudes, gifts, and compliments. And on Mondays, they share a lot of memes, but I take off on Mondays. And it lives on a messaging app called Telegram. Now, the Peep Show has been such a popular community that we used to have wait lists to get in, because apparently lots of you want to see each other naked. Well, since we moved the group away from Kik and its 50-person cap on group chats, the Peep Show will no longer need a wait list. Yeah. So if you just want some affirmations on how your makeup looks that day, or you want to see hashtag all the dicks on Flagpole Friday, consider joining my Patreon at the $10 level for access to this nonstop sex-positive group chat. You'll also receive other rewards like bonus episodes, a monthly thank you letter, and access to our secret Facebook group, The Champagne Room. So become a member today at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. It's a great way to get extra content as well as support the pod. One more time, that's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. And now it's time for the Fan Whore Appreciation Moment. Oh yeah. One of those rewards for being a member at any level is you get a shout out here on the show. So right now I want to say a thank you to Joshua Stewart. Voulez-vous coucher something something? How do you say thank you for being a member in French, dude? I appreciate your presence. I want to say thank you to Michelle, another one of my Canadian whoreheads. And, Canada. Good on you for representing. I think just like per capita, y'all are exceeding expectations. So way to go, Michelle. And all of my Canadians, all my Canucks in the Champagne Room and the Peep Show. I like to consider myself cultured because I interact with so many Canadians in a given day. Thank you so much to Gabby. Hey, Inslee for governor, right? We're keeping him in there, saving the world. He really is Captain Planet. He's just kind of aged out of the role a bit. And I want to give a shout out to my high school classmate, Sam Tobis. Hey, buddy. Thanks for being a member and supporting the show. You're good people. And so are all of my patrons and all of my members and all my listeners, but not as much as the patrons. And hey, if you want to become a member and get your shout out, you know how to make it happen. Oh, I had so much fun with this week's guest, Jennifer Wright. She's got a new book out. It's called We Came First, Relationship Advice from Women Who Have Been There. Sophia, the intern, and I went to this beautiful apartment in downtown Brooklyn. It was it's a converted church. There's a gargoyle outside her front door. I'm like, sick. And then we go in, and it's this incredibly artsy, big, high-ceiling living room. She's got this bookshelf. It goes 9 shelves. It goes 9 shelves up and like 5 bookshelf lengths across. And she's got all of her books sorted by color. It's incredible. It's beautiful. I don't know how she finds any of the books though. By the way, I'm going to post a picture of this beautiful bookshelf on my Instagram. So go check that out at Billy is Presida. We nerded out about old people fucking, but not like old in age, but more like, people in the 18th century. Apparently they were a horny bunch. Let's put our dorky glasses on and chat with Jennifer Wright and about who came first. And now it's time to play Cast That Porn, brought to you by HotMovies.com. HotMovies.com is a pay-per-minute porn site, which makes it both an ethical and affordable way to hashtag pay for some of your porn. In Cast That Porn, I describe a scene in a movie that's available on HotMovies.com, and then I'm going to recast it with some names that you might be a little bit more familiar with. And this week, the movie we're recasting is Men Who Can Suck Their Own Dicks. And no, there's no volume number. It's just standalone. There's no need for a sequel. It's kind of like Rounders. Why are we going to fuck it up with a sequel? Well, we're going to see Matt Damon 20 years from now still grinding the tables, trying to figure out, how to play online poker. No, Men Who Can Suck Their Own Dicks needs no follow-up. Since 2003. Okay. Look, I've just been a little fascinated. It's a goal of mine these days. I don't think I want to lose weight anymore because I want to look better in lingerie. I think I just want to lose weight so maybe I have a chance to lick the tip. And so this in this scene from the movie, which by the way has 15 scenes, they found 15 dudes who can blow themselves, and then they just went to town. This one starts off with a a topless lady, nice pair of tits, just on the phone, touching herself. Oh, cool. But then this guy pops out of the blue. Apparently the dude who can auto-fellate, who can do auto-fellatio, and he just interrupts her phone call. I was like, whoa, that's the first twist of this scene. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know how much commentary I really want to insert here. I kind of just want to see him do it. Also, this is a movie from 2003, so it's still like that era of porn where they just had this cheesy fucking music. Look, I don't care about him fingering and going down on her. I don't care about her blowing him. I don't even care about the 69 or the doggy style. Can we get to the auto-fellatio? Oh my gosh, I don't care. So, oh my god, that dick is so big. I didn't even notice it from the original angle, but it's fucking monstrous. Also, here's something I appreciate about the movie. This guy, he ain't no porn star. He's just a dude who probably answered a Craigslist ad. His body looks kind of like mine. She's hopped off the dick, and he's gonna go for it. And here he goes. Here, and he's got it. Oh my god. Yeah, he's only got the head in, but he can. Oh my gosh. And she's just giddily looking on and be like, yes, I will follow you to the ends of the earth. Just let me watch this. I don't appreciate that she keeps looking off camera. It's like, no, stop looking at the producer. No. Keep your eyes on this incredible event. Oh, man, this guy's kind of a one-trick pony, though. He can't really keep the head in very much, so he pretty much just licks the tip a lot. You know, I'm just going to say, who could blow themselves and still make it look interesting when they don't fully blow themselves? Kanye West, right? It's got to be Kanye West. I think that's who it's got to be. There's no one right now with a bigger ego in America who feels more self-important than Kanye West right now. And who's going to be the woman who just looks on in fascination and ready to help in any way possible? Joel Osteen. Yeah, Kanye, come on into my church and spew whatever so long as those dollar signs keep rolling in. Oh, that was disgusting. A disgusting mix of capitalism and fake religion. And that's been Cast That Porn, everybody. Yeah. And HotMovies.com is prepared to give you 20 free minutes on top of any package you sign up for, which means that you can sign up for the free trial and get 40 free minutes when you use promo code MANWHORE at checkout. Go get those free minutes, and then you too can go enjoy men who can suck their own dicks from leisure time entertainment, and just watch a whole lot of auto-fellatio and question your own sexuality. You know, you can do what I did. One more time, go to hotmovies.com, promo code MANWHORE. And now let's get to the show. Oh my god, how's he do it?
Oh, yeah. Hello, this is Jennifer Wright.
Are you aware that the kids are really big on the Snapchat? Like,
they
we
love
learned
the TikTok.
The TikTok too. They love it, the TikTok. No, it's like, so she did a little segment about like DM slides on campus, asking college kids about like sliding into DMs. But apparently it's, you slide into Instagram DMs to obtain a Snapchat, and then you snap with each other until you get a phone number. Then maybe through the texting, maybe you'll meet in person.
Okay.
This is what college hooking up is.
Why don't they just communicate through the original one? Would that not? No. Okay. Oh, nudes.
But you can send nudes on any of the things.
But Snapchat, you can delete them. Snapchat deletes them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but you can screenshot. Like, it's no foolproof measure.
Yeah.
If you kids say so.
Then you know if they've screenshotted it.
I just assume that if I sent a nude, it's been saved, screenshotted, and thrown up on.
No, I can never run for president. I have a million nudes out there.
But that's the thing. It's like, we're gonna have a president who sent nudes.
Yeah.
It's gonna, the whole Katie Hill thing enrages me.
Me too.
Like, let's pretend it wasn't revenge porn. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be a big deal.
No.
It's also, it was a tasteful photo. It's her brushing her hair. If you couldn't have a more adorable nude.
Oh, yeah.
Than her just sitting on a chair, brushing her lover's hair.
Yeah, like a very tasteful Victorian painting of a nude lady. Yes.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the Katie Hill sitch?
Everybody I know has sent nudes. Hasn't everybody you know sent nudes?
Yeah, anyone under 50 has sent a nude.
Yes, I mean, I guess I could feel horribly guilty about that, but I was having sex with the people that I sent naked pictures to.
Right.
It was usually I was just like away on a trip.
Yeah.
It wasn't as though those people weren't seeing me naked. Yeah. It feels like the only person who should be at fault in that situation is if somebody betrays your trust.
Right.
And immediately runs around being like a naked lady. I'm seeing her naked.
And constantly, I'm not seeing anyone like, any of the critics of Katie Hill. I'm not also seeing like, oh yeah, but it's bad that he did that. Like none of the
it's terrible. That
any
he did
GOP
that.
person who said something bad about Katie Hill, I never heard them also say something bad about the guy leaking it. I'm like,
yeah, I mean, okay, and the only person who's at fault there is the guy leaking it. They betrayed somebody's trust. Somebody tried to do a nice thing for them. I guarantee you that guy asked for nudes beforehand, and everyone was like, okay, fine, I trust you. I mean, are we supposed to get mad at the person who was trusting or the person who was a huge shit and betrayed somebody else's trust?
And so at what point are we just going to all sit down and go like, okay, no one's getting fired over the existence of a nude since we're all on the same page that we've all done them. It blows my mind.
Look, the only thing that
and Kamala's definitely sent a nude.
Of course she has.
I want to see him because she's kind of... babe. Tulsi,
yeah.
It's just,
let's
Cory
assume
Booker.
Everybody has sent nudes.
Yeah, but there's a few of the candidates who I'm like, we don't need to see
We
those.
don't know.
But like,
I mean,
Beto, Cory, Tulsi, we all know who the hotties on that debate stage are. We all know who it is.
The only thing that should be surprising about it is if you see a nude and find out that they have like 1,000 swastikas tattooed all over their chest.
It's like,
In
oh no,
which case,
Joe.
Okay. Oh no, Joe.
And Joe's
Biden.
like, no, you don't understand. I was just trying to pass a bill. They said if you get these tattoos, we'll send funding for this.
to the farmlands. So, I
He's
did
like,
what I
I'm
had
a
to
hero
do.
because I let them put this on me. Like that weird guy from S-Town. Well, I'm sitting down right now with author Jennifer Wright. She's the author of this new book, We Came First. Mm-hmm. Also another cool book called It Ended Badly.
Yes.
Which is about the history's worst breakups.
Yep.
Which my father would just be like, I should be in that book.
Oh.
I had the worst breakups. Whole book, just me. All my breakups.
I went on a lot of talk radios with shock jocks who made it entirely about their ex-wives. And I mean, the breakups I wrote about ended in like wars or beheadings. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I
Dad,
think
what's
you
your
made
death
it through
count?
fine. Yeah.
But yeah, no, thanks for chatting with me. You shared what your next book's going to be, and I don't want to jump ahead too quickly, but I'm fascinated by the
it's
topic.
fine. It's what I'm working on right now. It's called Slay. It's about women who killed people in history. So we're going from really just horrible psychopaths like Elizabeth Bathory, who supposedly killed 600 virgins and bathed in their blood, up until some real heroes of the modern age, like the Soviet night witches who shot down Nazi planes.
Okay.
So we kind of work from worst to best. I'm still like pretty solidly in the terrible Lizzie Borden range right now.
White women and murder fascinates me because you ask most like white ladies what podcasts you listen to. After they ask like, what's a podcast? Mm-hmm. If they're not asking that, it's usually like, oh, this is my favorite murder.
Yeah.
Oh, the murder ones.
Yeah.
Oh, the murdery things. And I'm just like, oh man, I think white women are just doing research. I think murder the patriarchy is not as much a metaphor as much as like real, and I think we should all be scared.
Yeah,
and I think it's good that we're scared, but like I'm scared.
Yeah.
I feel like you're all doing research on how to do it.
I mean, I'm also fascinated by sassy murder shows. I really, really enjoy them. I do feel like, in general, the topic is always like, you're a woman, you might get murdered. Here's how it happened. A lady just like you went running, then she got murdered. So one of the reasons I wanted to do this book was to flip that a little bit when Trump talked about it being a scary time for men. I thought about how, as a woman, there is probably not a single day of my life where I haven't been frightened in some minor way. Like where I've gone jogging by myself and realized like, oh, I'm alone on a trail right now. I should take out my headphones and be aware of my surroundings. Or, weaving your keys through your hand when you walk home late at night because somehow you're gonna do ninja moves with the keys, I guess. So it was interesting for me to think about what it was like to be a woman who was actually the scary person in that situation. What it is like to not be afraid, but to be fearsome. And sometimes I think it's really brave and noble. Quite often, it's just women have been given some modicum of power and abused it just as terribly as men ever did.
Now, what if like the biggest purchasers of your next book are just going to be like men's rights activists going, see, we told you. What if you get the wrong fan base for that one?
I mean, I am always worried that men's rights activists will come to my aid in any situation. They never need to.
So this book is relationship advice from women in history.
Yes.
I'm a bit of a history buff myself, so I was really fascinated that like all your books, even the ones that don't have to do with dating, we're all like finding historical examples of various things, like the fashion book, and then there's Ended Badly,
the disease one. Yeah.
So what after you did It Ended Badly? Where did It Ended Badly come from? That's the breakup one.
It Ended Badly. It came from the fact that
because this feels like a sequel.
It does feel like a really natural sequel to that. It Ended Badly came a lot from the fact that I was about 26 when I was writing it. So a lot of my friends were going through breakups all the time. And everybody was doing terrible things. And I am a little bit of a history buff. So I was always reading stories about women in the past who behaved more terribly than they could possibly behave. I find it very comforting that Edith Wharton wrote 300 letters to a man that she dated for maybe 2 months, who mostly never replied to them. So if you texted your ex 30 times drunkenly, you're fine. Not as bad as Edith Wharton. She ends up in a castle on the French Riviera. She's fine.
And so you found these examples of just like terrible breakups and are you like tied? I have not gotten a chance to read them, but now that I know they exist, they're on my Amazon wish list, everybody, which you can buy for me at manwhorepod.com/thank you. What was like your favorite biggest breakup?
Oh God. Well, my personal favorite is always Carolyn Lamb. Just a beautiful, beautiful mess. Just truly let her crazy be free. She dated Lord Byron, who was like the bad boy of literature of the 1800s. Lord Byron is mostly famous for how many women he had sex with. It's a lot.
The Wilt Chamberlain of his
really,
day.
Just plowing his way through Europe. But one of his most notable affairs was with Carolyn Lamb, who was unhappily married, and their affair immediately turned as volatile as it possibly could. She dressed up in male clothing and said she was going to run away with him. When he said no, she threatened to kill herself. And then after they broke up and her husband took her away to their country home to recuperate from the problems she was having, she chopped off all her pubic hair and sent it to him in a bag. Okay. And
it's like, hey, we're working clean down here. We're working smooth. Come love me.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Was pubic hair, because I knew, is pubic hair a thing? Like, was shaving it like a hot thing back then?
Shaving is always a hot thing.
It's always been a hot thing?
There's no era where it's not a hot thing. It's always a hot thing.
But they had the fake
Merkins. That's because of syphilis.
Explain.
So, fun fact.
I was just impressed I knew what a merkin was.
Yeah, one of the reasons that merkins became popular, especially among prostitutes, was one of the signs of syphilis is that it makes all your hair fall out. So if you look down there, you saw somebody with really patchy hair that looked kind of fucked up, you would probably say, oh, I'm not paying for this, you're syphilitic.
Right.
So merkins are a disguise for syphilis.
Fellas who are all about like no bush, no way.
Yeah.
Proceed with caution.
Yes. Yes. If you were in a society where you were worried about syphilis, definitely having a merkin would be good. But at the same time, John Ruskin broke up with Effie Gray because he was an art critic and he'd never seen pubic hair on a statue. And on their wedding night, he was so horrified by Effie Gray, who, by the way, gorgeous, like teenaged Effie Gray, one of the great beauties in history, was so horrified that she had pubic hair that he told her that she was deformed. Nobody could ever want to have sex with her. This was disgusting. She had a condition, and she doesn't know.
Right.
So poor Effie Gray, almost.
Please don't tell me she killed herself.
She did
over
not
her
kill herself.
pussy hair.
She did not kill herself. She became very mentally unstable. Like, she was severely depressed. Her husband said that he'd wait 6 years and try to have sex with her. Still going to be repulsed. So Effie Gray, a normal person who presumably had a normal sex drive, was incredibly distressed until her husband had a young painter apprentice, Jonathan Everett Millay, who was staying at the house, who was very dapper.
I just want everyone to know that Jennifer's not holding note cards right now with all these names she's pulling. I'm just like, what? Who? Where?
I spent a lot of time reading about these people. John Everett Millay shows up at the house, falls in love with Effie immediately, still gorgeous, like 24. And Effie tells him, like, you have to understand, I have a condition. No man will ever want me. And he's like, we'll work through it. Yeah. It'll be fine. He sees that she thinks that her condition is having pubic hair. He tells everyone that her husband is insane and she needs to get divorced immediately. Right. One of the very rare divorces of the time, like a hugely expensive, hugely publicized divorce. That she eventually was granted, and she and John Everett Millay got married and had a ton of children. And he wrote her a lot of letters about how he wanted to have sex with her constantly.
But so now, have you been reading like these, like, are all these letters published in books? Do you have to go like look them up somewhere?
The library.
How are they writing about? Like in these letters, like how are they writing about sex in them? Because obviously it's not a thing that was a subject we were supposed to speak about.
No, more candidly than you'd expect.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, Queen Victoria is very clear that she loves fucking her husband. People were having sex through all of history. I think people have a somewhat false notion about sexual mores because all we ever see is BBC dramas that, are playing more into a 1950s idea of morality than what was necessarily like a 1780s idea of morality when young people were bundling in bed, which just meant sleeping in bed with a sheet separating them, and that was going to stop them from having sex. It wasn't. It wasn't.
So what was the actual moralities from, I guess, how many, 200 years ago?
Look, up until the 1840s, pretty liberal. 1/3 of the brides in New England, up until about 1800, were pregnant when they got married. So for most of history, up until the urbanization of America, when it became a really big problem if you had children out of wedlock, sexual mores were pretty loose. If you're living on a farm and you start
not much to do,
and you start getting pregnant pretty early, that's great. You have another farmhand. Like, by the time they're 5, kids can start doing simple chores around the farm. You're just creating a labor supply. If you live in a city and you work at a factory, what's your child going to do? I mean, you can, when they're like 10, you can start having them try to sell newspapers, but it's not going to work out great. They're just a really sunk cost for most of their life.
Children are sunk costs.
Children are a deficit if you live in a city and not a farm. Yeah. They're a luxury and they should be treated that way.
Wow. And was there anyone, like, when you were reading up on all these different people in history that, like, spoke to you the most?
Oh,
where you were like, girl, I see you.
Oh, man. I mean, I go back to Carolyn Lamb. She had a huge bonfire where she made all of her servants recite poetry about how much she hated Lord Byron while burning him in effigy. So and then she wrote a memoir about how he was literally the devil and he was pulled into hell.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that was like one of your worst breakups?
Well, yeah. Like, if I really leaned into, if I was not hampered by a fear of seeming like someone's crazy ex, I think all of us could go full Carolyn Lamb. Just really define
have our girlfriends
our lives.
over, read read his dumb Facebook post as we burn something.
Make a statue of him and burn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. So what was your, so you've been with your hubby for 5 years, you said,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what was your dating life like in your, early and mid 20s?
I mean, it was fine. It was fine. I went out with mostly very good people. I'd say like 20% awful people. Other 80% like good people who weren't for me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't have certainly I did not have anywhere near as bad a dating life as I think some people have had.
Sure.
I didn't like move in with anyone and lose my rent controlled apartment and then have them break up with me.
Okay.
So
That sounds oddly specific. No.
not that I know
Some
anyone that
random friend
happened
of mine,
to.
Carol. I don't know. I'm just
It
making up
is a
names.
random friend of mine, but
Do you have any bad breakups?
yes, of course I had bad breakups. And I was definitely okay. I definitely liked to pull a move when we were definitely going to break up, where I would shout, "What if we just got married? Like, what if we did that?"
Your move, buddy.
Yeah. It was definitely usually a situation of people being like, I don't feel like you're this into this. I don't feel like you're really committed to this. And me being paralyzed with fear of being alone and realizing that I would have to go on first dates again, which is a nightmare.
The first.
Oh, God.
I sat in a coffee shop like 3 days ago, and I just witnessed such a bad first date
God, it's just-
to the point.
What happened? Tell me about
He's
it.
just lame. It's not bad like anything blew up. It was bad, and I'm like, how do neither of y'all know how to be on a date? Because I mean, she's being a little timid, which I'll give her a benefit of the doubt of like
Sure,
socialization, but he's just like. It's like watching cardboard. I'm like, or listening to cardboard talk. I was like, and he's talking nonstop. When they left, I wanted to like rope it off as like a nuclear waste zone for dating. It's like, no one go on a first date at this table.
Yes.
It's still tainted by how boring and lame this guy was. He told some like big story and he was saying it. Cause sometimes people like they got a story, kind of almost like I'm doing now. And they bill it like it's gonna be a story.
Yeah.
Oh, you watch out. I got one for you. Here we go. Let's rev up.
Oh, yeah, they're ready.
Now they tell this story that they've really amped up as a big thing, as a wild story. And then it was him driving and he was stuck behind a car that wasn't moving and the car behind him was beeping at him. And he like was a little anxious about not being able to do anything about it. And the story ended with, and then the car moved and then I got to go around and it was fine. And I'm like, I just want to murder your face, dude.
Oh, I'm going to feel really bad if that guy's listening to this podcast. I'm sure you were just nervous. I'm sure you were nervous.
But she just sat there and I could see how not interested she was in it. And I kept looking over, but she kept seeing me look over. So I think the only thing that possibly saved this guy was that I possibly seemed creepier than him. And she's like, this dude's so fucking boring, but that guy's creepy. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm safer with him. So I like to think I ensured maybe a second date.
Yeah.
But oh my
Oh,
God.
I'm sorry.
First dates are rough. Do you get nervous on them?
No, I actually loved first dates, but only because I was very comfortable being enthusiastic about whatever people are into for exactly 2 hours.
Yeah.
So I always got
I do
second
happen to have a
dates.
timer right in front of me.
Yeah. I'm great as long as I don't exceed like 3 hours and then my true self will come out. But yeah, people would always say things like, so I'm really into rock climbing. And I would be like, oh my God, rock climbing. I've wanted to do that my whole life. Where do you go? What's that even like? I bet it's beautiful. And then I'd go home and realize like, Jennifer, you don't own running shoes. Like, if you wanted to do rock climbing, you 100% would have at least gone to a climbing wall by now.
You were so animated. It's so fun. I can imagine like I can see how enthusiastic you'd be on a first date that if the cardboard guy had been on, I think you would have terrified him.
I was like, wow, cars, right? What a situation in New York.
Yeah. Tell me what changing your oil's like. I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So I am a really good first date. Yeah. Unfortunately, as soon as I would get home, I would realize like, oh, I don't. And then they'd be like, let's go rock climbing.
Because of your enthusiasm. They think they nailed it.
Oh, I ended up on so many terrible dates because I was just mindlessly enthusiastic about things that I could not possibly care less about. God, I went to a lot of baseball games.
Well, when you went on the first date with your husband, like, were you still this like very just blindly enthusiastic?
No, weirdly, no. No. The story on the first date with my husband was, first of all, we met at a friend's party.
Okay.
And we hit it off instantaneously. Just someone who I genuinely like all the same stuff with and find all the same stuff funny and the same people awful. So we hit it off.
Such a crucial part, by the way, we find the same people awful.
Isn't that great? Oh,
it's not enough to have the similar interests. You have to have some similar distance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So thank God we had that in common. And then I was told that another girl at the party had a very big crush on my husband, and I needed to leave. And, you know, I was dating people. That was fine. I wasn't looking to marry this person immediately. So I left. My husband followed me. The girl who had a crush on him followed him. We all rode down into Manhattan together from Washington Heights. That was very awkward.
Wow.
And then after she got off, my husband said, so, okay, when can I take you out? And I said, you know, I think that other girl actually really has a crush on you. I think it would probably be nice if you went out with her. It seems like she's really, really into you, and I'm dating people. I'm not really looking for anything. So he did. So he said, all right, fine, I'll go out with her, but I'm
coming back.
Want to date you.
I'm coming back around.
Yeah. So he went on one date with her, and I kind of figured, like, it's not going to go well.
She's
like,
too into rock climbing.
She's
it's
too
not
into rock
work.
climbing. Honestly, yes. Like, she seemed very sporty. So I thought, oh, that's going to go badly. And meanwhile, my future husband had been, like, texting me through the intervening time. And then I happened to be having lunch with the friend who introduced us the night after they supposedly had their date. And I said, hey, you know, I heard Daniel went out with your friend. How did that go? And my friend leaned over and said, oh my God, it was amazing. She told me they had the most beautiful night. Their pillow talk was fantastic. Like, it was, oh my God. I think they're going to be in a relationship. And I thought, oh, I didn't see that happening so quickly.
I thought he'd have to circle back around. I was bluffing the whole time.
Bluffing. As he was saying that, I got a text from him saying, like, all right, went out on a date with her. When are we going out? Friday? And I thought, like, all right. Weird that I guess he got laid and is texting me 8 hours afterwards. But okay, fine. If you want to do that, I am not going to wear any makeup. And we're going out to the most expensive restaurant I can think of. So we did that. If my husband was even mildly taken aback by this, he did not indicate it in any way. At the end of the date, I said, so I know you and hooked up. Like, that's cool. We can keep this kind of casual. And he said, what are you talking about? He apparently gave her a hug at the door.
Oh.
And got into a cab. And so I think she was just trying to shuffle me off there. Wow. Yeah.
That's like some House of Cards shit right there.
But in a way, it was great because I just did get to speak honestly about everything I actually liked on that first date. And it was awesome.
And was that because to you felt there were no stakes?
There were no stakes, yeah.
Because you were
like, I guess this guy's hooking up with a bunch of people. He's clearly not really interested in anything.
Was that like the first time you were just being yourself on these first dates, or had you
honestly probably
okay? Because I was going to ask like where that shift would have been.
That feels I think it felt so low stakes to me.
So the dates that you cared, the first dates that you were excited for, you amped up things.
Oh yeah. I went into it trying to be interested in their interests, which is still a good thing to do.
But what a shock. It worked out really well when you were just being yourself.
Oh my God, it worked out so much better. Yeah. Oh my God, I love that my husband and I can just hate the same things.
What do y'all hate
Donald Trump.
Besides Trump.
Donald Trump.
Okay, pre-2016,
right?
come on, that's a little easy.
Well, okay. One thing that I do love in terms of bad dates is we've been together long enough now that when shit is going down at another table, we can just touch each other's hands and have it be understood that we're both just eavesdropping on them now because nothing we say to each other about our daily lives will be as interesting as the couple having a first date at the next table.
I love just overhearing and watching a good or bad first date.
And then we can just grab hands when something goes really badly. And just really, once we heard a man on a first date talk about how some good things came out of the Holocaust.
Let's hear him out.
We texted each other back and forth on like, should we try to rescue this woman? Should we go over and pretend that we know her so she doesn't have to keep sitting?
Do people do that? That's a brilliant move.
I thought about doing it. It was as close as I've ever come.
Wow, that's not, first date, you don't want to go into something as a troubling nuance as that hot take.
Yeah.
I'll hear you out, but that's more an 8th date type of thing. When I don't know.
Wait a long time before you get into how bad was the Holocaust.
It's like, well, I don't. What is shocking is that for me, is the kind of in part of what I do for work. It's a topic in sadly in the realm of what I do is on first dates, and I don't think I bring it up nearly as much as they do, but sexual assault comes up a lot on first dates with me, and it always throws me for a loop. And the dates typically go well.
I assume you're against, right?
Very against.
Cool, good position. The only position to have.
Really, yeah. No, but I don't know how or why, whether it's the topic or it's sharing time. I don't know why, but it comes up a lot on first dates with me. I got laid recently after we watched The Accused together.
Wow.
And then she was like, you can use this as a testimonial of how good you are on a date because I just fucked you after watching the rape movie. And I'm like, I don't want to be proud of this, but like, okay,
I mean, there you go. Yeah.
All right.
Oh gosh. You should have Josh Gondelman on this podcast. First of all,
Josh is such a nice,
oh my gosh,
sweetie.
have you already had him on?
I've never had him on. So I know Josh from stand up, but it's back when we were both at open mics, but he was just about to not need to do open mics, and I was like 20, just starting. But yes, Josh is great. Why would you say Josh?
He has a great story about one of his first dates with his now wife Maris, and going to see Gone Girl.
Oh,
and fainting when he can't handle blood. So he went out to the hallway and fainted.
Hospitals are a great thing.
And Maris fully assumed, like, he saw this movie about a woman who was crazy, and he just decided, like, I'm out of here.
But interesting with Gone Girl, you can see it and think this is about a woman who's crazy, or you think it's a feminist icon.
Crazy.
Yeah, and he was like, no, you girl.
It can be both.
Yeah. Some people watch that movie and are like too on her side.
Yeah. Look, personally, I believe you've got a Gone Girl like 5 or 6 guys after college just to get it out of your system.
Oh, wow. Have you been thinking about in the course of writing, whether it's this week came first or it ended badly, like were you thinking at all about your past relationships or it?
Yeah. I mean, these are
Did you find a new perspective on any of your older relationships? Did you ever like maybe think back and go like, ooh, actually that was my bad?
I mean, I think I was always worried about being the crazy person during a breakup, and which is, I think, something that is a little more put on women than it is men, where, if you text too many times, you're going to become somebody's crazy ex-girlfriend. Whereas if you're a man, to become crazy, you have to break into their house.
I would say that if the stuff like the texting too much stuff, I think guys still get a negative look on it, but we don't always call it crazy. Sometimes we'll call it creepy or possessive or problematic, whatever it is.
Yes, you didn't enjoy my constant rounds of, hey, just saw this leaf on the ground and I was thinking about you and how much you love forests. Here's a picture of my face. I look pretty today.
Yeah. It's like, notice me.
Yes. I definitely did that too much. So that was my bad. Edith Worden makes me feel better that she wrote 300 letters. So I wasn't the only one who just desperately wanted to maintain contact with people who, frankly, I probably wasn't that interested in when we were actually dating. I I really hate being alone.
Oh.
I love cooking for people.
What's your main dish?
Gnocchi. I make like a lovely fried gnocchi with basil and garlic and fire roasted tomatoes and like a lovely amount of mozzarella just ripped apart.
Sounds like so many Weight Watchers points. I want
It
to
is.
avoid it at
It's a
all costs,
ton,
but it sounds
and it's
delicious.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So you're, this is, relationship advice from these women in the past. What's like your favorite piece of advice, or is there a piece of advice that you were able to take to heart yourself and maybe implement into your, into your relationship?
I mean, I feel like more than advice out of this book, what I found comforting about it was realizing that nothing new is happening now. Queen Victoria wrote about how much she despised children, which was very unfortunate because she had 9 of them. She loved having sex with her husband, hated being pregnant, hated having
Hated
children.
pulling out. She's
Hated
like,
babies.
I want the cream pie. Come on. I know there's a risk involved, but I need it in me. He's just like, I can do it on the stomach, no more kids. But like, no, I must.
Nobody would tell her. She tried to find out how to do any means of birth control. And one person told her to jump up and down after sex, so she constantly jumped up and down after sex. But that poor woman, nobody told her about pulling out.
That's actually
nobody told her about condoms, which were in mass production by 1850. But yeah, she talked about how she found all infants very, very ugly and disgusting. And I thought maybe she likes them when they get like older. Like some people are better when their kids can talk and stuff. And then I found another letter from her saying, I get no special pleasure from the company of any of the older children. So, okay, lady, you shouldn't have had 9 children. I'm sorry that was forced on you.
So are you anti having children yourself?
No,
then?
I am desperate to have children. I see babies with glasses in grocery stores and think about stealing them. We have so many books. I just feel like it would be a good fit for us.
Oh.
So, yes, I have terrible, terrible baby fever. I am dying to have children. But I also, I think it is absurd that society tells women that their lives won't be complete unless they have children, or just tells women who don't like children that they'll get over it. They'll learn to like them. No, you'll end up like Queen Victoria, hating your 9 children. Don't do it.
And jumping up and down a lot.
Jumping up and down constantly. Yeah.
That's all you had to do is put on a condom.
Yeah. Lucy Anderson Hicks is one of my favorite, a transgender woman in the 1940s who was this very popular hostess around New Orleans until she was eventually taken to court when people found out that she was transgender and refused to admit that she was anything but a woman, told them that no doctor in the world would ever be able to convince her that she wasn't a woman, that she had lived as a woman for her entire life and planned to continue doing that.
Yeah, something people don't realize. I mean, I don't know all the history of it too much, but I know that it exists. But the concept of transgender people is not new.
Oh, it's not new.
It's been around forever. Intersex people been around forever. Like there's,
a lot of, when you see the Nazis doing book burnings, a lot of the books they're burnings are books about transgender people and about gay people and about the history of those people. So we have lost a ton of testaments about those people's lives and what their experience was like. And when people talk about how it's some sort of like new idea that people came up with in the 21st century, no, like the reason you don't know about it more is possibly because of Nazis.
So that guy on the first day should be like, oh man, there's so many things we lost because of the Holocaust.
Yeah, man.
And then she goes like the people. He's like, oh yeah, those, but like there were some books we'll never get back. He's not inaccurate, just a little not tasteful.
Yeah. I could have worked with him on that.
Yeah, it's like we can rephrase this
Just
for you.
a little bit, yeah.
That's wild. Also, is this Joan of Arc on the cover?
Yes, it's Joan of Arc.
So then what
arrested for cross-dressing.
I was gonna ask, like, why the fuck, like, what's
Why
her
the fuck is
what's her
Joan of Arc in there?
situation? Like, what's her sitch?
Well, Joan of Arc is very self-partnered, or rather partnered with God.
Okay.
And one thing that I love about Joan of Arc that I think not many people know, first of all, that she was arrested and burnt because she wouldn't stop cross-dressing. And she said that it was because the English were so hypersexualized that if she did not dress like a man and wear full armor, she would be raped immediately. Which is the first and only time anybody has ever talked about English people being hypersexual.
I think they're super horny people. I don't think they talk about it. I think they're more repressed than we are.
Well, yeah, I guess that's why there's a
they're super kinky.
ranking.
They have all sorts of like kink clubs and everything out there. I remember like talking to some folks last time I went out to London. I was asking around. I talked to some of like their sex experts, and the big thing was, oh, we have this and that and this, but no one's talking about it.
Oh, well, yeah, I
Like
guess that's true.
there's still like a properness, like hiding the sexuality over out there.
Yeah.
Like they, I mean, you remember this might have been like 4 years ago, maybe 5, when they passed like a porn law. They banned weird porn categories, like anything that seemed like violent.
Oh,
But they also banned like face sitting.
oh, that doesn't seem very violent.
Right.
I mean, it's not my thing, but it seems fine.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then there was a protest. There was a face sit-in outside of Parliament. And I was like, okay, I can be down with that.
Saying you're going to ban violent porn seems tricky, because some people could say that the nature of porn is often violent. It's things that you wouldn't do in real life. Like, you don't watch The Fast and the Furious to learn how to drive a car in real
Correct.
life. Yeah, you're watching extreme situations.
Porn's also old, because like ancient Romans had porn.
Oh, yeah.
Or like I remember going to Pompeii and we're going through the bath.
It's all penises.
Yeah, where the bathhouses had their
Yeah.
stuff. Like that's their pornography.
People love drawing penises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was funny, because then it made me think that if you ever got tired of your porn, like in your house, you just had to go jerk off in a different dude's house.
I mean, look.
Like you have to
Don't
go to the
worry.
guy who has like the Asians mural.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you have to go to the guy who's got like, the big tits mural. And sometimes you got the guy who's got the one with the 2 chicks scissoring. And like Frank's house is very popular sometimes.
Yeah.
He's like, no, did you hear someone got a new painting done?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, even if you look in like medieval marginalia, priests are drawing like
Yeah.
people fucking dragons. So,
Wait, where do I find that? Which library?
I am very fascinated by illuminated manuscripts because I love doodling, and doodles are perverse and the same for all.
I mean,
history.
that's why I like reading physical books. I don't switch to e-readers because I like to. I mean, I got a book in here that I've marked the fuck up because I just like interacting with the text.
I know. I like the way they smell. I know that's
Yeah.
like a very old school opinion, but I like.
No,
the
you
new
get
book
you,
smell.
you, the Strands Rare Book
Oh,
Room.
don't you love it? Oh, I
stop.
love that place.
I remember I was
so
telling you.
good.
I think I was telling you about this. It's a cool spot that no one knows about. If you need to charge your phone, sit and read in quiet.
Yeah.
But it's like you walk in and
Yeah. I've had
just-
2 book parties there, and it's just it's the best place.
jealous.
Yeah.
Great spot. Yeah. Now, guys, it's no longer a sex podcast. We're just going to talk about
Just
our
gonna
love
talk
for
about book
books.
smells. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who's like seen my bookshelf on my Instagram story knows like fan of the book
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh.
John Waters has that quote that if you go home with someone and they don't have books, don't fuck them, which I really appreciate.
That's good advice, everybody.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, and my current girlfriend has a big old bookshelf. I was like,
Oh, I love
good
that.
people,
Oh, good,
people.
yeah.
I am thinking about, and I know I was poking fun. I know this has
Yeah.
nothing to do about sex and dating. Oh, I can tie it back to it later. How's that? She's got this 1, 2, 3, like 9, 10 shelves of books. It's a massive, massive wall bookshelf, and it's all color coded. It's color coordinated. I was like, I can't. It's like, how do you know where to get the book? But I am thinking about, for decorative purposes,
Okay, no.
maybe redoing it.
Think
to
about
be
your
colors.
favorite book in your head. The first thing that comes
Yeah,
to mind
Perks
is
of
the
Being a
color of the
Wallflower.
cover. Green cover.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's freaky. I almost want to test you.
Yeah.
Low Life by Luke Santi.
Ooh, I don't know what color that is.
It's like gray and black.
Okay.
But like I'll know them, but not until after I've read them, and I don't
Yeah.
see if I'm. I like having my books out because of that quote. Not because of it, but it does play in the quote. I like having the books viewable from the bed because I'm like, oh, I want them to see that this guy reads.
Yeah. Oh, the shittiest thing I ever read about Norman Mailer was that when he had sex with women, he would get them to leave by keeping a stack of his own books by the bedroom door and telling them, I would be happy to sign a copy for you on your way out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like a Billy Procida move. Okay, I'm gonna make sure I don't do that. That's wild to me. Okay. Who's your favorite person in We Came First?
I mean, Josephine Baker, just
Okay.
somebody
Just,
who led an extraordinary life on every possible level, just an embarrassment of riches. And she fought for civil rights in America. She was dancing topless in France in the 1920s, wearing a banana skirt, just incredibly sexually liberated at this wonderful time in French history. Then she joined the French Resistance and fought the Nazis as a spy. Then she came back to America to fight for civil rights after Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. His widow asked Josephine Baker if she would head the movement, and she considered it, but said that she couldn't because she had children and they couldn't watch their mother die right now.
Oh God, that got real.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much
she adopted a ton of children, all different colors from around the world, had a rainbow tribe, lived in a castle. Just everybody should really aspire to have Josephine Baker's life.
I don't know how much sex is in this book, but I gotta imagine it seems like you have discovered or learned about a lot of old-timey sex stuff from back in the day through your research with this. So is there anything that hasn't made it into, I guess, either of the books that you have just been mind blown?
Wilhelmina's cherry.
What's that?
It was a perverse turn of the century treat offered in brothels in New Orleans. And what people would do is you would fill your vagina with basically an ice cream sundae. And then men would eat it out of you.
I don't know how I feel.
There was another one. Victoria.
I feel both so strongly for and so strongly against this.
I mean, it's probably delicious. I don't know.
I thought it was going to be you put the ice cream sundae in and then you fuck, as if it was supposed to be a sensation when you're having sex.
No, it's an eating thing. It's an
okay.
eating thing. The other one that I remember was a game that, again, this is a Victorian brothel thing. Women would lie in the air with their legs spread, and men would throw coins at them and let them keep however many they were able to catch in their vaginas. So
fun games.
That's a game that existed. What are other crazy things that I learned about from history that we don't really do now? I mean, there are countless amounts of them. People didn't have television. All of the sex is weird.
Figuring out, a lot of free time. Museum of Sex, the one of their staple exhibits is kind of sex in history, and it's just all this old stuff. It's got the chastity belt. It's got the old condom. Wrappers. It's got old kink equipment. All so cool because I think we all just like you said before. It's we all think before the sexual revolution in the 60s, it was all just missionary and boring sex.
No, it was not.
It was pretty dope from what the little I've seen, and obviously you've read a ton of it. It's it all seemed like it was pretty wild.
It was it was. I would say that it's much more wild than it is now.
So is it IVF or is it?
We're doing IUI.
Oh,
yeah.
What's IUI?
IUI is the first one. They give you a shit ton of hormones, then some injections that cause you to produce multiple eggs instead of just one egg.
Gotcha.
So you are upping your chances.
Well, then I pre-congratulate you on your triplets.
Thank you. I mean, look,
isn't that what normally
happens?
happens?
The main upside that I can think of, it's
hey, if I don't like the first kid, one of the other two probably will be all right.
That is what my mother said, which was not where I was going with it. But okay, yeah, sure, we'll pick a favorite child in the womb. No, the one thing that I do love about it is if we have two girls, obviously a lot of problems at first, but by the time they're 6, we can dress them up as those girls from The Shining if we have twin girls. And it is going to be a beautiful family portrait.
Okay. I like how you have the Christmas picture planned way in advance.
I really planned for this, yeah.
That's wild.
If we get 2 boys, it's just a wash.
But you have to do injections and such? Yeah. And does it have to go around?
There's a schedule.
And you tell me if this stuff is too intimate, but I don't often talk a lot. I don't think a lot about how to medically get pregnant. I always think about how to medically not get pregnant.
Which is what you should be thinking about. Yes.
How does that incorporate into? You don't have to get into nitty gritty details of the sex part, but how does that play into your sex life in scheduling when and ovulation and do you have to poke needles before and reignite the mood? I mean,
Yes, we have to poke needles before, but also my husband and I have sex constantly.
Okay.
I work from home. I'm pretty rested.
Mazel.
Yeah. So yeah, we pretty much have sex every day anyway. So there's never
nothing's changed.
really.
It hasn't affected.
No,
okay.
it hasn't changed the amount of time we're having sex. I haven't found it. I know for some people it's very stressful to schedule to make sure that you're having
It's
sex.
7:57. I'm
Yeah.
ovulating right now. Get my knees up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it is the day, yeah, we have a lot of sex.
Okay.
Like if I've got those 2 eggs out, we're just having as much sex as possible to up the chances. But no, like we'd be having sex anyway.
Okay,
Like
cool.
we ate dinner.
Okay, the only change. Great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Jennifer, this was fantastic. I have I'm gonna ask a sidebar question. Did you do any research on like old presidential relationships?
Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah.
Have you-
A lot of them fucked around.
So would you be down to do a little bonus episode about
Yes,
maybe specific?
forever,
Okay, let's
yes.
do a little of that.
Okay.
So Patreon people, tomorrow you're gonna hear we're gonna get presidential with our sexual history. But for now, where can people find you? Where they can get your books?
all
You've
right,
got
yes.
4 books. 2 of them I didn't even mention. One's on fashion, which I think some of y'all I've seen you on Instagram. Some of y'all are really into fashion.
Yes, you can get any one of my 4 books, especially We Came 1st, Relationship Advice from Women Who Have Been There, at your local bookstore or Barnes & Noble or Amazon, which is also fine. Like, put those bookstores out of business. Just buy this book. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Jen Ashley Wright.
Fantastic. And that's right, WRIGHT?
Like the Wright brothers.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us. Patreon people, tune in tomorrow. And for now, why don't you say goodbye to everybody?
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to all of this. Yay, history.
It's the only time it's been said on the show, but I so agree. I love it.
Again, all of my $5 and up members will get access to Jen's bonus episode tomorrow on Patreon. But if you're not ready to, pony up and get access to over 100 bonus episodes behind the paywall, don't worry. Yesterday, Tuesday, I dropped a free bonus episode. Yeah, free. As in no credit card required. You just show up and enjoy listening. I brought back Roxanne from the Oral Sex Auditions. Remember that one from 2 years ago? Yeah, episode 180 for the newbies here. If you're not familiar, my sexually frustrated friend Roxanne kept complaining about dudes who don't eat pussy well. So I decided to hold auditions. And I invited some strangers from the internet to come on over and eat her box. I invited her back 2 years later to reminisce on that experience. So you can go check that out at patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. That's Patreon, patreon.com/manwhorepodcast. I hope you enjoyed my episode with Jennifer Wright. I hope you'll go get her book or books. I know I will be putting them on my Amazon wish list this Christmas. Let us know what you thought about this week's show. She dropped her social handles, but you should all know that I'm on Twitter at TheBillyPresida. And you can make a comment about this episode on my Instagram at BillyIsPresida. More of a Facebook person, or you're still on the Zuckerberg bandwagon, that's okay. We got comment threads available for you on Facebook, on the Man Whore Podcast fan page. So don't forget to go over there and give it a like. We also got Sophia the intern dropping nonstop dope sex positive memes on the fan page. I love getting your emails. It's honestly my most favorite notification next to my girlfriend sending me nudes. So you can send me your comments, your questions, your own booby pictures to manwhorepod@gmail.com. I promise you I read every email every time. And unless it's a really weird email where there's actually nothing to respond to, I will always respond. Which many of you seem shocked by. Okay. Next week, everybody, we got a comedian on, Madeline Smith. She's poly, she's funny, she's curvy, and she also has a dating podcast. I hope she doesn't get mad I said curvy. She'd probably not listen to this. It's not a bad thing to say. It's just descriptive. I don't know. Okay, this is getting weird. Before I say something that's really wrong, tune in next week. Until then, are you watching the impeachment hearings? That's Lieutenant Colonel Vinman to you, mister. Ha! Stay slutty.